The management for Rose Rosette is something that's a little bit difficult because as we learn more and more, we're learning more about different management strategies. So be sure to check back at the roserosette.org or the Combating Rose Rosette Facebook page to try to get the most up-to-date information. One of the most important things that we have learned in this project on Combating Rose Rosette is about pruning. A lot of times people have claimed that they have successfully removed Rose Rosette by pruning and that they didn't see the disease again for 3 months or 6 months. In research trials that were conducted at University of Tennessee by Dr. Mark Wyndham, he found that pruning is not that effective. They did long-term studies that lasted about a year looking at pruning and found that it's only effective about 40% of the time. And that means about 60% of the time pruning fails. In the meantime, if you've tried to remove Rose Rosette by pruning, you may have the virus in the plant, it's just not actively expressing those symptoms. Sometimes there's a latent or asymptomatic period before a virus expresses, and sometimes the virus actually goes down into the root system, so you may see a delay in the expression of the symptoms. It doesn't mean you eliminated the disease. It's also not known if the mites that transmit Rose Rosette could pick up that virus in the meantime. So rather than pruning, the recommendation if you have a plant with Rose Rosette is going to be to remove that plant. When we remove that plant, it is important to try to contain the mites. So the first step in the process is going to be, if at all possible, to drop a trash bag over the top of the plant and tie it off at the soil line. And if you're not able to use a trash bag, maybe the rose is too big, sometimes you can use plastic sheeting or a drip cloth that you would use for painting and wrap it around the plant and kind of tape it up as you go and then cut it off at the soil line. The last alternative would be to cut the rose up piece by piece. Make sure that you have a trash can handy so that you can throw that debris in the trash can and be sure to put the lid on it as soon as you're done. Those mites can sense the change in turgor pressure in the plant. That plant starts to wilt a little, and so almost immediately they're going to start launching or ballooning onto the wind to try to get to other roses. It is important to be sure to dig up the stump and the roots. Sometimes those trunks will send up what we might call a sucker, a new little plant, and that plant very often has Rose Rosette. So we want to dig out that trunk and the main part of the root ball. You don't have to get all of the roots, but at least try to get the majority of the root system and also throw that away. We don't recommend composting because, again, while that material is just sitting out, those mites could be launching off and looking for other rose plants to feed on. Lastly, we sometimes get the question, how soon can I replant in the same spot? If you can allow a fallow or an empty period, that's always going to be suggested. It just gives that plant any roots that might remain or debris a chance to decompose. If you are going to go back in and replant right away, make sure that you have picked up all the debris and discarded it in the trash, and then you're going to want to add in some new soil. Very often that soil is going to be depleted of nutrients, so we want to amend the soil so it's ready for the next plant. And then one thing to check back on is if you did not do a good job of getting the root system, check back in 2 to 4 weeks and make sure there are none of those little suckers coming up. If you see those, they need to be destroyed immediately because they could be new plants that have the virus. The other recommendation would be if you've removed a plant, if you have other roses on the property, to treat those with an application of a miticide so that if there are any remaining mites in the area, that they're killed and it reduces the likelihood of the disease. And we've talked more about the mites and miticide applications in some other parts of this video series, so please review those if you have questions. So if you're looking for more information, you're always welcome to visit the roserosette.org website or look to your local county extension offices for information that is specific to your state or region.